The word euthanasia comes from the Greek and means good death. The Nazi euthanasia program before and during World War II claimed to give a good or mercy death to certain types of people. However, it was mass murder. The Nazi euthanasia program involved putting existing Nazi ideas about eugenics into action. It also acted as a rehearsal for the final solution and the mass murder of Jews, Roma, Gypsies, Sinti, Slavic, and homosexual people that would occur during World War II. In Nazi Germany, one of the most important ideas was the superiority of the German race. This idea was built upon eugenics, or the belief that getting rid of undesirable people in society would strengthen the gene pool and transform mankind into its highest form. The Nazis began classifying people by race and other characteristics, and ranking them in terms of their desirability in society. They believed that the Volkskörper, or body of the German people, needed to be cleansed to ensure its future strength and health. In 1933, a law allowed for the forced sterilization of people in mental institutions. In 1935, this was extended to allow for the sterilization of alcoholics, criminals, and homeless people. The Nuremberg race laws were passed in 1935 and prevented Jews from marrying or being sexually involved with Germans. The intent was to prevent the mixing of German and non-German blood in offspring. Between World War I and World War II, Germany experienced terrible economic times. As a result, the Nazis argued that supporting people with mental and physical disabilities was too expensive and took away valuable resources from healthier Germans, indicating that they were ready to move on from sterilization to elimination. Horrifically, children were the first victims of the Nazi euthanasia program. In August 1939, a decree required healthcare professionals to report babies and children under 3 who had Down syndrome, epilepsy, and severe physical deformities. In October of that same year, parents of young children with disabilities were encouraged to send their children to special facilities the Nazis had set up in Germany and Austria. While parents believed that their children were given extra care at these special clinics, in reality, they were being systematically killed either through an overdose of medication or starvation. Through the use of T4 Action, so named because the headquarters were located at Tiergartenstrasse 4 in Berlin. The Nazi euthanasia program was expanded to include adults. At the end of October 1939, Hitler initiated the systematic killing of what he called life unworthy of life. Around 500 physiatrists, physicians, and nurses were willing participants in the T4 Action. Medical professionals became convinced that what they could not cure should be eliminated, with doctors using words like attended to or disinfected to describe the murders, dehumanizing the victims. T4 Action sent out forms to nursing homes and psychiatric institutions, asking medical professionals to provide health information about their patients, including their diagnoses and prospects of healing and working. This information was used to determine who would live and who would die. Those selected for death were often those with epilepsy, schizophrenia, or other severe psychological disorders, those who had been institutionalized for more than 5 years, the criminally insane, and those with non-German blood. During Phase 1, or the first 2 years of T4 Action, over 70,000 people were murdered. Death facilities were set up at Hadamar, Grafeneck, Sonnenstein, Brandenburg, Bernburg, and Hartheim. Patients arriving at these places were taken to what they thought were shower facilities. Instead, they were murdered using poison gas, and their bodies burned at attached crematoria. Their ashes were sent to family members, along with false documentation of where and how their loved one had died. During Phase 2, and after major protests from the Catholic Church, Hitler officially ended the T4 Action in August 1941. However, the killings continued in a decentralized and secret way. Instead of gassing, the program reverted back to the use of the medical overdoses and starvation found in the child euthanasia program, with the cause of death frequently given as bronchitis. The number of deaths that occurred during this second phase of the euthanasia program are hard to confirm. However, we do know that in 4 years, the number of victims jumped from 70,000 to 300,000. In one institution, the rate of euthanasia jumped from 12.3% in 1941 to 41.5% in 1942. Action 14F13 extended the Nazi euthanasia program to disabled persons in concentration camps. Gassings of disabled inmates and those unable to work probably led to around 20,000 additional deaths. The Nazi euthanasia program functioned as a grotesque rehearsal as the German army pushed east and occupied countries like Poland. The Schutzstaffel, SS, and police units rounded up and shot mentally and physically disabled people. However, as these shootings took a psychological toll on the executioners, they moved to gassing victims, just like T4. The idea of purifying the race by extermination was extended to Jews, Roma, Gypsies, Sinti, Slavic, and homosexual people during the final solution. Just like the disabled, they were described as parasites, both biologically and economically. Doctors would once again become complicit helpers in extermination camps, using dehumanizing language to describe their victims. Extermination camps were equipped with fake gassing showers and attached crematoria, exact replications of the T4 Action murder procedure. Let's review. The Nazi euthanasia program, carried out from 1939 to 1945, claimed the lives of around 300,000 people, according to Nazi eugenics, the program that deemed people with mental and physical disabilities as being life unworthy of life. The first euthanasia victims were young children, but soon the T4 Action was initiated to murder adults with disabilities. During Phase 1, these victims were gassed, while in Phase 2, lethal overdoses were used. Action 14F13 extended the Nazi euthanasia program to the concentration camps. The program acted as a grotesque dress rehearsal for the final solution and the mass murder of Jews, Roma, Gypsies, Sinti, Slavic, and homosexual people during World War II.